purpose of this video is to discuss some of the main communication problems that come up when people are trying to do their loan modifications directly with the bank themselves. If you're a subscriber to my page, welcome back. If not, make sure you subscribe, like the videos below, ask me a question. Really helps me get the information out to everyone who needs help. So if you are working on your loan modification by yourself or you're anticipating doing the process by yourself, you can expect to run into significant communication barriers with banks. The bigger your servicer, the bigger the communication problems, right? If you have a little bank, like a little community bank or, some sort of credit union that's like in your town, you're not gonna run into these issues. These servicing issues that I'm gonna talk about are related to people who have the big banks, right? Bank of America, Shell Point, Ocwen, PHH. These types of banks are very difficult to work with. They have a ton of customer service representatives. Their training is not where it needs to be to provide you information. And in some cases, it appears like they're actually trained to try to get you off the phone and not help you. And so you kind of have to be strong and you have to be like your own advocate to kind of push through these communication barriers. So I'm just gonna talk about a few of the main ones that you're gonna run into and some things that you can do. So number one rule, never let any bank tell you they're going to transfer you to somebody's voicemail. Voicemails in the world of mortgage servicing doesn't do anything. What a customer service representative will tell you is, oh, that's a great question for your whatever, single point of contact or for your relationship manager. And then they'll go, why don't I get you right over to their voicemail and you leave them a voicemail? Don't do it. Very rarely do people return voicemails. The voicemail box in the loss mitigation world is just kind of an area for them to dump you so that they don't really have to answer your concerns. And so I personally never allow myself to get transferred to a voicemail, and you shouldn't either. If somebody's trying to transfer you to a voicemail, push back on it, but push back on it nicely, right? Those customer service reps are doing the best job that they can, and you don't really want to alienate the people trying to help you. But what you can say is, you know what, thank you so much for offering to transfer me to a voicemail. I really need an update on my file today. So is there any way you could reach out to somebody else in the loss mitigation department, or could you read me my own file notes? Or, could you put me on hold and see if there's a supervisor who could help me? Basically, just brainstorm with them and ask them to do things that are different than transferring you to a voicemail. A lot of time that looks like just getting a customer service representative from the actual loss mitigation department on the phone. But the general rule, if you're trying to negotiate your own loan mod, is don't leave a voicemail, don't rely on anyone calling you back. If they do, that's awesome, and then you can kind of rely on that moving forward. But I would say from the beginning, make sure you're calling regularly for updates and then just refuse to get transferred to somebody's voicemail. And you can just politely push back on that. If a customer service representative says that they're going to transfer you, make sure you kind of go, oh, and make them pause for a moment and then say, are you transferring me to another person or are you transferring me to a voicemail? And then that way you can kind of prevent the voicemail transfer, because sometimes they won't tell you, right? As we've talked about in other videos, most big banks have a customer service department. They're like the front lines. And then there's like a loan modification or a loss mitigation department behind the front lines. And so you want to talk to these loss mitigation representatives. The customer service representatives often will have to transfer you to the loss mitigation representatives. That's good. You want to talk to the loss mitigation representatives. You just don't want to accidentally get yourself transferred to a voicemail. So if this front end customer service representative says, oh, I know the department that you need to talk to, hang on while I transfer you, your job is to say, please make sure you complete, and the term is a warm transfer. Please make sure you complete a warm transfer to a representative in the loss mitigation department. Don't let yourself get transferred to somebody's voicemail. Another thing that will happen that's really unfortunate is banks will hang up on you. They will just kind of disconnect the line after a certain amount of time. And so you really want to tell the bank at the beginning of your update call that you're aware that that might be something that will happen and that you really want to make sure that that doesn't happen. By just speaking into this, please don't disconnect the line, please don't hang up on me. By saying those things, they know that you kind of have an increased level of awareness and they'll be less likely to disconnect the line on you. That's more of a rare circumstance. It really only happens when the hold times are very long. But one thing you can do to prevent yourself from getting hung up on by your bank is to have awareness when you first call them and say, hey, I'm calling for an update on my file. Please don't transfer me to any voicemails, and please don't disconnect the line. I really need somebody to give me an update today. And what you're doing is you're kind of standing up for yourself, and you're kind of letting them know these are the potential problems that could happen. And then you're telling them, please don't let them happen to me. And that will kind of let them know that you're informed and you will kind of stand up for yourself. The last and final kind of communication issue that comes up is just these like crazy hold times. So this would probably be the number one reason why, if you have the ability to hire somebody to help you do your modification or help you do your short sale or help you do your deed in lieu, you should. Most of these big servicers during peak hours of the day, the hold times can be anywhere from 15 to an hour. And probably you really don't have an hour to just sit on hold with the bank. When you hire a professional to do that, that's their job, right? So I come into the office every morning, I call PHH, and I'm on there with them for an hour. That's my job. And so if you are kind of struggling with these hold times, it might be time to kind of reach out to a professional. But otherwise, I just wanted to put the hold times out there to let you know that oftentimes getting an update on your loan modification or whatever loss mitigation request you're doing is a long time process. So don't do it if you only have 10 minutes, because what you'll do is you'll waste your 10 minutes just like getting yourself verified, and then they'll put you on hold, and then you'll be like, well, I have to go. So if you're gonna call for updates, do it in a structured way and make sure you give yourself enough time so that if the hold time ends up being 30 minutes or so, that you're able to sit there and make it through there so you don't kind of frustrate yourself. All right, best of luck to you. If you're in Washington State, let me know if you need some help.